Welcome to the official podcast at contentchampion.com. Join our heroic quest to discover truly epic content marketing. Introducing your host, the content champion himself, Loz James.
Hi folks, and welcome to the 16th Content Champion podcast. On this show, I'm talking with John Banks of John Banks.Blog.com about building an online business in your spare time and how he uses content marketing and other techniques to sell his information products. John's story will perhaps be familiar to many people listening who work full-time and are building their internet business in the evenings and at weekends. And he's got a load of great tips and insights to share with us. So let's dive in. Okay, thanks for coming on today, John.
Great to be here, Loz. Thanks for having me on.
Now, today we're going to talk about how you use content marketing to grow your online business. And I know your story is going to resonate with my listeners because you're currently building your online marketing business on a part-time basis. Could you tell us a bit about this before we get started? I think you're an electrical engineer by day, but you also run johnbanksblog.com and release your own products in your spare time. So I guess you must be very busy.
I'm an electrical engineer by day, as you said. So I'm up at the sort of crack of dawn, 5:30, 6 o'clock. I go in, I do my bit and try and make a difference there. But then when I come home, I get my sort of internet marketing business head on. And I've tried to, I've sort of been dabbling online now for, I guess, around 2 years. Seriously, though, probably only in the last year, I guess. So yeah, as you said, I run my own blog. I also write for another community site called Busy Bee, and yeah, I've sort of released a couple of products, which kind of went quite well as well. So yeah, it is pretty busy, but that's the kind of situation I'm in.
How do you organise your time? I mean, you get home what time, and then obviously you got children. You put the kids to bed, and then work after that.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, I don't let my what I do online get in the way of my family time. Obviously, that's first and foremost. That's my priority. So get home, and I've got 2 daughters, so spend as much time as I can with them. But then it's when they turn in for the night, I'll get the laptop open and do what I can there. So I just really try and use what time I've got as efficiently as I can. I try not to get too sort of sucked in, and it's so easy to get sidetracked, I find, in this business, with everything going on. You always kind of think, am I missing out by not doing this, or do I need to be on this social network, or so I try and really kind of chunk my time together and just sort of blast out what needs doing,
Avoiding the old shiny object syndrome.
Well, yeah, there is that. Yeah, I mean, I've been guilty of that, but as I think everyone is. But I mean, I used to write on my lunch break at work. I still do now and again. If I've got a tight schedule, then I'll even get the laptop open. But I often get frustrated when I hear people say a lot of a common excuse is, the old time issue. But when I kind of look at what I do, and I don't really see it. I mean, there is time. You've just got to, it's just allocating that time.
I mean, I run my business. I'm a copywriter by day, and I do my blog in the evenings and spare time, and I've got 3 kids as well. You can do it. It's just organisation. And I mean, why are you doing it though? You're obviously successful in your main career. You've got specialist skills as an electrical engineer. What gave you this sort of online marketing bug, as it were? Well,
I'll be honest with you. First and foremost, my main passion has always been kind of, I say main passion. It can't be a main passion of mine because, like you say, I've went down the electrical engineering as far as a formal education route, but I've always sort of dabbled in and out of online, and I studied a bit with graphics, that sort of thing, when I was at A-level sort of education, and it kind of just led me in. I've always kind of dabbled online, and I just thought it was kind of around the time when my first daughter was born. It would be nice to kind of try and make something which could hopefully one day free up a bit of my time so that I can spend a bit more time at home. I don't kind of get drawn into the fantasy of blogging from the beach or anything like that, but it would be nice if I could perhaps give them a bit of something extra. So I guess that's where it all began, really.
I guess that story rings true with a lot of people, certainly myself as well.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly happy with my career. Been a copywriter for 15 years now, but I just trying to build something extra for my family and for myself. I enjoy it,
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, I think that in a lot of vocations now, and there are limits. I can only go so far doing what I'm doing in my day job. When you kind of try and make something for yourself, I think you sort of break those doors down, and you can take it as far and as much as you want. And I also like the escapism of it. I've got a blog, it's mine, I can write what I like. In the day job, there are rules and there are targets to meet and so on, So I kind of quite like that, being able to kind of run it like that.
So it's exciting, there's lots of opportunity. We're owning our own online enterprises, as it were. Let's zero down into some of the specifics. You've had success with 2 information products, I believe, 30-minute infographics and video promo cash.
Okay.
I think the latter drew on your skill making videos for client businesses. And I understand you write all the material for these products and all the sales letters and marketing material. So let's go through this all step by step. Let's start at the beginning and how do you go about researching these product ideas?
Yeah, in terms of research, I am on several lists. Everyone knows the kind of benefits of lists and what they do. And so what I do is I've signed up to quite a few lists, and that kind of gives me a gauge of what's hot and what's not, sort of thing. So I kind of use that only as a first stepping stone, because I don't just make products for the sake of it. I'm not out there to bring another make money online product out to an already saturated marketplace, because it just wouldn't resonate with what I do, because it's not, essentially. So I tend to go with things that I do. So like I say, the 2 examples you gave me were the 2 examples are the ones that I've made. I'm a big fan of infographics and sort of graphics in general. So that was where the kind of idea for the first one was born, because I was looking around and the prices of some of these to get one made was, you're looking at sort of several $100s. So I thought, well, why don't you make them? Because I was making them myself and I was getting a fair bit of success with them. So that was where the first one was born. And the second one as well, the video promo cash, was a similar thing, because I set up a few Fiverr gigs making little sort of video promotional sort of videos for like the kind of offline industry. So local restaurants, I was getting sort of hotels and bed and breakfasts and that sort of thing, and I was just kind of making little videos of them. And so that's where that product was born. They both done okay. I'm sure I could have tweaked perhaps the sort of marketing strategy a bit on both of them, but for a sort of part-time blogger at the time, they generated me a fair bit of income.
I know this is a problematic step for a lot of people listening to this, is once you've got this idea and you're really saying there, look at your own skills and then apply that to what's hot in the marketplace and adapt those skills to produce something that you can sort of believe in, really. Once you've done that, I know it is problematic for a lot of people actually putting the information together. How did you sort of do that, the content production, as it were? Did you break it into blocks and say, okay, there's going to be a certain amount of modules, or how did that pan out?
Well, I'm a big fan of the over-the-shoulder tutorial. So in both instances, for those 2 products, they were screen, like Camtasia, screen capture, and it was just kind of showing me like exactly how I'd done it. The first one, 30-minute infographics, you're not going to get a medal, but you can pretty much work out what that one is. It's a video in 30 minutes of me making an infographic, which anyone can follow along with. And the video promo one was kind of like the whole thing, step by step, just broken down into chunks. I tend to add PDFs in as well, because I know that some people prefer that, and likewise with video content. So you've got to try and, I guess, reach out to as many people as you can. But I mean, the whole kind of putting it together, I just start from the first step. What is it we want to achieve here? And then just break it all down like that, break it down into modules, and then just go at it, kind of lock myself away in the evenings and break it all down into small steps.
So what do you do? You say, like, I've got 10 sections here for sake of argument. Monday I'll do the first 2, Tuesday I'll do the second 2.
Yeah. Or even, even if, depending what the time's like, and I may be able to get the whole thing done. I mean, with video, it's quite easy to get carried away, I find. And people's attention, or mine does anyway, tends to sort of drift after 20 minutes or so. So I don't like doing big, long, hour-long videos. I try, if I can, to kind of chop them down a bit. So then the people, if they want to, they can sort of come back to it. It's good. It's a lot of fun.
I sometimes worry when I get these massive products, information products, where they do have, like you say, huge long videos and tons of information. There's just too much. I think part of the skill of creating the material is disseminating the information in bite-sized chunks that your audience can understand it. That's what they've come to you for, isn't it?
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, there's a lot of people out there, I think, that almost try and deceive value by... I mean, they think that if they put 30 videos in, that it's got to be worth a lot more than if it was just 2 or 3, which is not really the case. I mean, a lot of it's often sort of padded out, you know. Yeah,
and the reason you don't want to watch 30 videos is because you've already watched a load probably online, and you've bought the course because you want a quick way of doing it. So you've gone through the process of creating a product. You've done your research. We've looked at the steps of producing these different modules. You also write your sales letters and produce all the marketing material for those. How does that work?
That's a little bit difficult, actually. That was one of my... it was a bit of a challenge for me. I'm not a copywriter at all. I actually find the product creation easier than the marketing side of it. I'm not a very good salesman. I'll put my hand up and say that. I'm not selling, if you like, is not one of my strong points. But I've just gone into, again, I just go in and look at other sales pages, but I may be my own worst enemy a bit, but I don't like the overhypey stuff. I won't put things on there which I don't feel are 100% accurate. Because, I mean, you've been around long enough to have seen, no doubt, several sales letters and several sales pages where you just think it possibly is a little bit over the top. It almost seems like an industry where you're sort of allowed to, you can sort of get away with, I don't want to say lying, but you can really push the boundaries on sales pages. But whereas in other industries, you wouldn't dream of doing that. So I don't tend to go over the top on it because... And I think what that does actually is it's actually given me a really good refund rate. So people don't buy it expecting miracles and these things that aren't going to be there. So I guess it helps in the long run. But in terms of putting all those together and that, I'll try and find something in a similar niche, and then I'll just kind of go through it like that. And obviously, you know, the basics of a sales page. Why are they here? And then just outline the kind of the features and the benefits and so on like that. But the whole thing, actually, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but there's a program called GIMP.
Yes, indeed, I use it.
Which, yeah, it's a great tool. Highly recommend it to anyone. It's a free tool, sort of on par with, you know, the likes of Photoshop and like. But I do pretty much all the graphics and that in that. So, you know, I just set the whole template up as a page and then pretty much just drag and drop and sort of crop things accordingly.
It's very innovative, isn't it? What you're really saying there is you're bringing all different skills to the fore to get this out to the marketplace, which is... It's inspirational for a lot of people listening because they might be thinking, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that section of it. But, you know, you can, by learning from example, like you say, get your product ready for market. You can get a simple sales letter written. You know, you're being basically honest. You're highlighting, as you say, what their problem is, how you can solve it with your product and the main features and benefits of that product, and then a call to action at the bottom.
That's right. Yeah.
And you're, as you say, interspersing that sales letter with your own graphics.
Yeah, that's right. It's exactly it. I mean, 12 months ago, I didn't know how to generate a sales page or, you know, how to craft up one of those or put products together. And a lot of it I've learned just from sort of being around and being involved in the industry and just having a look and do as others do. You know, that's the old case with a lot of this stuff is it's out there, you know, and if you want to kind of learn how to do it, there's ways of doing it. There's certainly people out there that will help you if you get into the, you know, be a little bit wary. I wouldn't say all of them are, but there's some great marketers out there. I mean, I've had a lot of assistance from a guy called Rob Cornish. I think you've interviewed him on your blog.
Yeah, Rob's a great guy, yeah.
He's a great guy, really helpful, and so, you know, it can be done. We all see these false sales pages with these quotes of how to make X amount in 24 hours and all this sort of thing. I'd just say to people, try not to kind of fall down that trap, really. 90% of it, from my experience, is a bit of a sort of slippery slope, really. Keep your head on, focus on what you want to make, and then just go at it like that, really.
Yeah, there are great examples of people who are selling information products who do it in a stylish, sort of discerning way without making any of those false claims. I'm thinking of the guys at Fizzle and Corbett Bar. Also, people like Brian Dean, who I've interviewed, really stylish way of presenting things. And Brian Clark at Copyblogger, the sales pages they put up are always really good looking and they've got the same tenets of sort of sales copywriting in them, but they avoid all that hype, and so they seem to have more authority and believability to them. Yeah,
that's right. For me, from my eyes now, I kind of know where sort of my eyes are drawn. If you put half a dozen sales pages in front of me, I can usually kind of filter out the good ones. But going back to what you talked about in terms of releasing products, I mean, there was one out the other day. It's from a marketer called Reed Florin, and it was the whole thing was about how to research your niche. So it was a great product, because a lot of people get stuck with that initial kind of, well, what do I make, what do I do? And that was a classic example of the supply and demand, if you like. He was there to answer that question, which a lot of people, and certainly a lot of sort of part-timers and perhaps people starting out, can suffer from. And that product, I know for alone, it's done over $20,000 in the first week, because I actually promoted it for him. And the reason I promoted it, because he was so helpful on me promoting it. It was unbelievable. He was giving me email copy. He would almost tell you when was the best time to send it out, and that sort of thing. So from my perspective, it was a great addition, and it was a great help.
So we're really saying, you've got to have some integrity with this and be a real person. Don't sort of hide behind your site.
That's right.
And obviously all the changes in Google and everything, we'll come on to that a bit later. But, we are having to be the face of the business, as you should be. Have some integrity, put out stuff that you would like to buy yourself. So, researching a niche, go and find some examples of stuff that rings true to you, and emulate that, like you say, without falling into the trap of going down the get rich quick nonsense that everyone knows. I mean, we've got very small attention span for this type of rubbish now. So we're talking about something you could be proud of. Okay, you did say that you're not that confident in the sort of selling space, but you've obviously got a strategy. You've got your blog up there. You are doing some affiliate marketing as well. How does your sort of sales process work? A lot of people saying that the traditional sales funnel might be dead, and content marketing with blogs and everything is taking over. What do you do to shift units of your products?
I will put the sales pages up, and initially I go straight where the traffic is. So you kind of get that peak initially. So on launch day, I'll go straight where the traffic is. So for example, both of my products I've launched through affiliate networks, and almost prior to that there have been quite a few affiliates that have come on board. So for these two, I was quite fortunate when both of them launched. They'd done okay in terms of immediate sales. But then it kind of snowballed a bit. I don't often write about them in a weird kind of way. I don't know why. I don't often write an awful lot about them. Perhaps it's something I should really do a bit more of. But I've usually let the affiliates drive the traffic. I don't really think the two products I released, I would have built sort of a blog around them. I might have written the odd post around them, I guess. But 30-minute infographics, I guess I could have generated several infographics and used them as guest posts around the web, and obviously at the bottom there was a link to the product, that sort of thing. But I didn't sort of think of it like that. A lot of it actually was learning the process, if that actually makes sense.
Yes, totally, yeah.
It was learning the how to generate a product and list it online and actually generate sales.
I interviewed Shane Malach from I Am Impact a while back, and he said he likes to do these sort of evergreen products where he'd rather sell, 10 copies a day or whatever, and have the thing running along and support it with, some of his products have their own blogs, and he blogs about it and new feature releases and things like this. It seems there's kind of like a sea change going on now with these sort of different approaches overlapping.
It is a lot of work, isn't it? Slugging away and content. I mean, as much as I love doing content marketing, it is a lot. There's a lot of work involved. But yeah, I mean, great tip. If your product is evergreen, like for example the one I've just talked about, the how to research a niche, that's going to be around for a long time, and I expect Reed will get a fair few sales for many months to come on that, simply because of its nature in the product itself. Where perhaps I don't blog as often as I'd like, as in write new content on my blog, it probably wouldn't really fit for me, just in terms of time really, to go sort of overboard on churning out lots of content for it.
It's an interesting one. It's a catch-22 because the clients I work with, there has to be an ongoing long-term commitment for content production, and it's either time or money. It's the classic one. You've either got to have the time or got to have the money. Me and you, I guess, are making the time. Yeah. In a very similar circumstance, we both work during the day, and then we have children and families, and then we work when we have made the time in the evening. So time is our currency, as it were.
That's right.
You can have those to leverage. One it's always going to be one or the other, isn't it? No matter what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I should probably mention here, the other site that I write for, the Busy Bee community, is relatively in its infancy, but that in itself, because there's 6 writers on board, the blog, if you like, for that is effectively, the sales page. So there's a lot more we can do with that. I mean, there's still a lot of learning to go on there, but there's a lot more that we can do with that, perhaps fitting in with the strategy that you talked about there.
What you're doing with the Busy Bee site is this kind of pooling of talent, isn't it? In the cloud almost. You're pooling together writers and talent to create a brand, and that's something that businesses could do through advocacy and social media and stuff as well. So there's so much opportunity, really.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I can't remember who it was, but you interviewed a guy recently. He had a fantastic discussion about small businesses are like, they're trying to get online, and he talked about the marketing department. They're the ones that need to be at the front of the answering questions for them, if you like. And he was saying about getting the members of the staff where they all took an hour and a half.
Marcus Sheridan,
That's right, and I mean, and that was a fantastic idea. And then before you know it, they had something like 100 posts or something for their blog. Great idea.
Yeah. I mean, bring it back to sort of what you're doing and running a part-time online business, if you like myself. It's you've got to be the sort of marketing department and the admin department, the content generation department, everything else.
You're listening to the Content Champion podcast, showcasing the best content marketing strategies across the web.
We are back with John Banks of johnbanks.blog.com. Okay, moving on to email marketing. Do you do much of this?
Well, yes, I do build a list. I build a list via my blog, and I build a list via my product releases. I've also got a couple of free courses that are out there that I get lead captures coming every day. The problem I guess I have is the follow-up. See, I don't like getting blasted with pitches every day in my inbox, so I'm very quick to unsubscribe from those. So I'm kind of still gathering that sort of info on the best way to go about this. I mean, I'm very lucky in the respect that I do have a bunch of subscribers that, if I ping out an email, they do get back to me with things. But yeah, I do need to certainly focus on that a bit more.
I think it's the relationship, isn't it? That's fantastic. If people obviously respect you and are responding well to your products and who you are as a person, if they're getting back to you. And I guess list size isn't that important. You could have a couple of hundred people and make a fortune from them if it's good and and they like you and they relate to you. So that sounds like that strategy's already paying off, really.
Yeah, it is. I mean, but this is sort of going back to the whole forefront of what we talked about in the beginning about doing the whole thing, because this is a big area of internet marketing that it's all right people saying, oh, you've got to release a product, but it's not quite as simple as just releasing a product, because I host them on their own domains, so you have to kind of go about that. And then there's email, the autoresponder integration. You've got to make sure that that's all set up correctly. there's the kind of after sale, if you like, and there is a lot to go into it, but it is worthwhile.
So you've got to be a jack of all trades, but I guess you've got to stick at it, that's what we're saying.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Okay, we've mentioned it before. Let's turn our attention to John Banks' blog. We've talked about the products, mentioned Busy Bee Marketing Community as well. You're producing content for both of these. How often do you write posts for these? How do you fit it in with your other work? And do you do all the follow-ups with comments and reader questions and all that type of thing?
Yeah, so Busy Bee, I write 2 posts a month for them. We post 3 times a week. So, and then we do like a roundup with the team we have on board. It enables us to basically write two a month for that. So that's not too bad. But on the back of that, we've also got a members area, which is exclusive stuff and lots of video content, training, and some PDFs, downloads, ebooks, and so on and so forth. So there's I'd say there's probably more actually that goes into that than there does the initial blog. So I kind of try and do a bit there when I can. And then on my own blog has dropped off the rankings a bit recently because of the work I'm doing on Busy Bee. But my own blog was never really meant to be I never really planned it as a big successful type marketing blog. It was more of a scrapbook, if you like, of all my kind of findings and what I do online. I like to just sort of keep it update, and I'm more than happy with the way it goes. I mean, I write on my blog probably the same, probably only sort of once or twice a month, but without putting any other blogs down, I don't just kind of regurgitate a lot of the faff that's already out there, and I mean that in the politest possible way. But I get a bit fed up when I read the kind of same old stuff over and over again. So if I write a post, I try and kind of put my own stamp on it, if you like. I mean, that's kind of what I've done with it. I've tried to keep it personal. I've put some snapshots of the family as the kids are on there, to embarrass them with later on when they get older. I mean, if I do stuff and it fails, it goes on there. If I try something and it makes a few quid, then yeah, it goes on there. Yeah, there's no kind of secrets, and that's the way I like to try and keep that blog, really.
And it's also notable, you say, anything that fails you put on there. If one is stuck at this for a certain amount of time, I don't really see them as failures. They're kind of learning experiences, all of them. You can take something positive. You can't know how to do all of it, but then after a few years you realise you've got a skill set where you can, research products, write the sales letter, make the video, make the infographics, make the sales page graphics, set up an email autoresponder, and write decent content that's personal to yourself. And then you think, well, actually, now I'm firing on all cylinders. I've got a really quite unique brand and business going on here that I can be proud of and build on. I think that's what a lot of people want.
Yeah, definitely. I think you summed it up in a nutshell there. It's very easy to get kind of bogged down and to kind of think, oh, I'm just going to jack it all in. This is not working. It's very easy to think like that. But I also think what you just said then, look at what you know. There are people that are so quick to kind of, I mean, myself included, to kind of say, is it really worth all this? Am I really adding value here? Or, are people going to buy my stuff? Or, all these questions pop into people's heads. But the list that you just reeled off then, building a blog, setting up WordPress, adding email autoresponders, writing sales copy, writing content, that's all skills. They're all skills. And if you can get them in a format that people can relate to online, then it can only be a good thing.
And what I respect about what you're doing and what a lot of my listeners will be doing in trying to build up the business and putting the work into it like we're discussing is, you don't want to be one of those people who's sitting there when you're 80 going, if only I'd have had a go at that.
Yeah, exactly right.
You're never going to know unless you try. It's not going to be perfect. We all have the downtime when we think, is this rubbish? But it's a hell of a lot better to at least try and go for it and try and create your little sort of enterprise that can then grow than to sort of dismiss it and say, okay, give up. And most people give up, let's face it.
Yeah, and half the time they give up when they're so close. I'm under no illusions. I'm not in a position to sort of retire from my day job yet. I mean, what I do online, it makes me a healthy part-time income, which contributes towards the family, and it's all great for them. we have nice Christmases and things like that, and we go on holiday, and a lot of it's a direct result of what I do online. But people must also not get under the illusion that it does take time, especially to build a brand, and especially to kind of gain that trust, if you like. I certainly wouldn't. I'm not in a position to pack it all in yet.
So without wanting to sound like a sort of daytime TV host or anything, I guess the message is that if you've got a gut feeling that something's right and going well and it's got some integrity behind it, you can be proud of it, then just don't give up, just carry on, and the rewards will come, I guess.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Now, moving on to video marketing, I don't really use videos that much in my own business, but I want to. Is that a really sort of influential part of the way you're growing your business? Because I know you're an expert in this area.
I'm a big fan of, I mentioned earlier, sort of Camtasia, and I use a lot of video when it comes to creating content like that. Certainly from a sort of tutorial perspective, I think it's easier in some ways to just whack out a video and show people exactly how you're doing stuff. The product I made, Video Promocast, was a little different. That wasn't anything to do with screen capture. I've got no qualms in revealing exactly what that was. That in a nutshell was using Animoto. So a nice little tool online, very simple to use. And the whole concept of that product was I was taking some screen capture from restaurants or B&Bs or whoever it was I was working with. So using their content already, their photos and whatnot, and blending them into these nice kind of videos and the animations that you can do with Animoto, and then branding it, so putting their own logos on there, and that was it in a nutshell. And then I'd sell them that on, like an HD package. I think it's great. I mean, it was really good. One of my claim to fame, if you like, from that, one of my biggest jobs I'd done was for Casa Brazil, which is a restaurant chain.
Yes.
They've got a promo video that I made running in their restaurants on their big screens. It's kind of a sort of promotional one, sort of celebrate the whole kind of Brazilian vibe and that. A lot of fun doing that. Cool. We're sort of venturing into the offline world here. I mean, they had no intention of putting it on their website or anything like that. Their focus was that they actually wanted it on display, in their restaurants. But I guess in terms of the online world, I think video marketing is not going anywhere fast. I think that's going to hang around. If anything, it's going to get bigger with people's bandwidths and so on and so forth. Now, it's just it's becoming more of a common thing.
I know you're active on social media because that's how I found you.
Yeah.
Which platforms do you like best and find most beneficial in terms of building your online business?
I'm not very active on Twitter. I don't find an awful lot of engagement there. I'd probably say it's probably a flip a coin really between Google Plus and Facebook. Facebook is going nowhere in terms of the kind of free engagement that I used to get. I'm finding it more and more a paid platform now. I mean, Google Plus, yeah, I'm liking that. There's some great communities on there.
I really like Google Plus and Twitter. Facebook to me is on its way out, surely.
I mean, from my experience with Facebook, I made a few bucks on it recently, and it was in a completely different niche that I've done anything in before. I've written a blog post about it actually. I don't know if you've checked it out, but I made a fan page in a dog niche. So I just stuck a fan page together and put a few ads up and generated like 10,000 or so likes, and then started kind of promoting some CPA offers, and it worked really well until the CPA network decided that they weren't going to allow Facebook traffic anymore, and all I was doing was sticking to the kind of Facebook wall, which was just images in a sense, just silly kind of cute images, or compare this to this, and you were getting a lot more engagement. From my blog point perspective, if I put a link up to my blog post on there, nothing happens,
Yeah.
So it's that kind of audience, isn't it, So I don't know, perhaps from our niche, maybe it's kind of on its way out, but...
I was speaking to last interviews with Jim Tobin about his book, which focused a lot on Facebook, and he was saying that the sort of younger generation are moving away from it and only using it to keep in touch with the older
Yeah.
generation. So I guess maybe as a paid business platform, it still has a lot of potential. But maybe as a social network, the trendy social network it started out as, maybe those days are gone, for the young audience.
I think so. You can clearly see now that it's a business it just wants to make money now. You've only got to look at the right hand column on the ads, and some of the ads on there are, they're hideous. What they allow. I think you're right. I think that's all the way it's going. Really, they've kind of announced, haven't they, that they're, pretty much if you want to kind of get engagement now, you're going to have to be a paying customer. I think they sort of wrote about that themselves.
Yeah, shareholders and all that.
Yeah,
so. And SEO, we haven't really touched on that in terms of marketing your products and promoting blog posts, etc. Well documented, all the Google pandas, penguins and hummingbirds and everything else. How much SEO do you do actively?
Not a lot. I just try and write content for humans, really. I don't tend to write for sort of machines.
Sure.
I don't sort of tend to litter stuff with keywords or anything like that. I think more and more now it's leaning towards social activity. So pins or tweets, maybe not tweets so much, but certainly Pinterest I'm finding is having an impact. G+ certainly having an impact. I say this, the evidence I've got is some of the posts I've done over on Busy Bee. I've actually I've done a couple of infographics on there, and they just took off through Pinterest. We were getting like 200-300 pins, and they were being repinned everywhere. And then we looked at our analytics. I mean, it wasn't necessarily the traffic directly that we were getting from them.
Yeah.
Although we were getting traffic directly from them, our overall traffic, organic traffic, which they've now kind of hidden as well from us, in terms of what keywords, you know what I mean, the kind of not provided now, our kind of overall traffic was going up as well. And without kind of reading too much into it, it would seem that it was the social signals that were perhaps adding to that sort of page rank.
I'm sure they were, and I'm sure it also has the effect that with Content Champion, I've not actively done any SEO. I've followed people like Brian Dean, whose course is excellent, I would say, in sort of doing outreach to real human beings that then link back to you as a byproduct of you forming a relationship with them, which I guess is just like building a business in the offline world. It's real human beings interacting. So I did an experiment with a monster roundup post, and that was very illuminating in terms of how people just link to it naturally. You know that thing, I remember talking to Corbett Barr last year about how you do have to promote your content, of course, but if you do take time to research it properly and write epic stuff, if you like, people will link to it. And I was thinking, I've seen it happen for other people. I've seen it happen a bit with my own stuff. But and I've seen it happen for copy that I've written for other people's blogs and sites, but I've never really done a proper experiment. And I did one, and it's in the thousands of visitors, and it's for one post in a couple of months, and multiple thousands of page views and 600 or 700 social shares and sign-ups for the email list. I'm thinking, oh, wow, okay, that's heartening, because if everyone does this on a small scale, it can build and it does snowball. And what I've also noticed with the Content Champion blog particularly is that the analytics we're showing in terms of keywords is nearly, I guess it's about 8-9 months old, that blog. There was nothing really happening in terms of the keywords that were driving traffic, and now over the last few months it's gone up exponentially into the high hundreds of keywords driving traffic to the site, and it's just all from writing the content. So it does work, really, all this stuff.
Definitely. So that'll be like some long tail keywords that you hadn't even thought of, all of a sudden they're being picked up.
And it takes a long time. It's I used to do the SEO where you could rank 5 keywords in the top 10 within 3 months. We all know about the exact match architects, link building and stuff. But this way, it could also be touching on the conversation of people who give up and stuff.
Yeah.
you've got to give it a long time, and then suddenly if you carry on doing the quality stuff, after a while it does tend to snowball. That's been my experience.
I agree.
So it's all positive. Okay, we've kind of broadened things out. We started to broaden things out in terms of looking at the big picture on content marketing, on online marketing.
Mm-hmm.
We've mentioned building links. We don't want to do that the wrong way anymore. We've mentioned producing, really long, high quality blog posts. There's a sort of content arms race going on. We talked about social media. We're all becoming sort of social media advocates, if we like, because we have to be. What do you see happening throughout 2014 in terms of where all this is going?
I see our old friend Google still getting its claws in everywhere. I think that's going to be. We talked about, so it kind of leads on to what we were talking about just now about Facebook and Google. I think Google is going to have more and more clout on terms of ranking, and it'll be the local businesses, the kind of, the tiler in Southampton, or the fencer, or the whole kind of integration now with the Google Map thing, and then the rating system and things like that. My cousin's an electrician, and he's like, I'm an R&R, do I need to get on this? And I said, well, my advice would be, you got to get on Google Plus, and get your map up there, get your address up there, be a local, so when people search that term, your little pin is on that map. That's the way I see it going, certainly for sort of the small business. Like social media advocates, where's it all going? As terms of marketing and in terms of local business, I don't see Facebook as influential as Google Plus, shall we say?
Yeah, it's kind of becoming irrelevant. I totally agree. Google Plus, to me, is somewhat of a revelation, because you do get great interaction, and you do get the posts ranking ridiculously high in Google. So, if you're a small business listening to this, do exactly as John says, get on Google Plus, and then start blogging on Google Plus using some keywords, because you then start popping up for local keywords with your authorship on the Google Plus account as well, and you've got all your geographically geared pages as well. So it seems to be that they've got, I hate to say it, a kind of great product with Google Plus, I think.
Yeah, I mean, just think about it as well. The future, we haven't even sort of tapped on. I mean, I don't know how far it is away. I guess I don't know. It's still sort of in beta launch or whatever, but that, the whole kind of Google Glass thing they've got going on, with the glasses that you can wear, and you eventually in this world you can just sort of walk down the street and you'll be able to get information just coming up in front of you on the local pizza place, or it's just fascinating, really. It's
like Minority Report, that Tom Cruise film. Yeah. And they'll say, hello, Mr. Banks, last time you bought XYZ, and I don't know whether that's going to be nightmarish or brilliant, but they'll be doing it.
Wait for it, listeners. Here comes the PS question.
Okay, this is what I call the PS question, where I ask experts in content marketing, online marketing, if they can give me their one advanced strategy that my listeners can take away and run with today. So have you got anything you can help with in that regard, please, John?
There's a platform out there that's called SlideShare. When I went over there, I couldn't believe how big it was in terms of traffic generation. I made up a few slide packs on that. Nothing fancy, just some, simple presentations. One I made last month has had over 16,000 views now.
Wow.
You can stick a opt-in box on it that's with the premium content. If you want the free one, then you can add a link to your site or to your sign up afterwards. And it just seems to be snowballing at the moment. And the beauty of it now is as well, you can upload infographics. So it's not just PowerPoint presentations. Basically anything visual that you've got, I would recommend setting up a SlideShare account, uploading it all to that, putting your relevant hashtags in. There is a huge audience over there. It's definitely a worthwhile traffic strategy.
Well, that's a great tip. I didn't know you could put infographics on there, and that's something I'd be very interested in following up on. Okay, John, well, look, thank you very, very much for your time today. I love your blog. I'm a member of the Busy Bee community on Google+, and I really respect what you're doing, and I appreciate your support that you've given me through social media, and I wish you all the best of luck in the future.
Thanks very much, Loz. I'd just like to say exactly the same back. I wish you all the best, mate. Take care.
So there we have it, folks. That was show number 16 of the Content Champion podcast. Many thanks again to John Banks at johnbanksblog.com for a fascinating interview. You can find this podcast at contentchampion.com, on Stitcher Radio, the BlackBerry Network, and of course on iTunes. And if you like what I'm doing, please leave me a review. But until next time...
Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's the Content Champion.